حي على الفلاح. الصلاة خير من النوم. الصلاة خير من النوم. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. واستقيموا بالصلاة يرحمني ويرحمكم الله. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا وأن الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما ويدعو الإنسان بالشر دعاءه بالخير وكان الإنسان عجولا وجعلنا الليل والنهار آيتين فمحونا آية الليل وجعلنا آية النهار مبصرة لتبتغوا فضلا من ربكم ولتعلموا عدد السنين والحساب وكل شيء فصلناه تفصيلا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. وكل إنسان ألزمناه طائره في عنقه ونخرج له يوم القيامة كتابا يلقاه منشورا اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا من اهتدى فإنما يهتدي لنفسه ومن ضل فإنما يضل عليها ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى وما كنا معذبين حتى نبعث رسولا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. We continue inshallah today with where we left off the end of last week, the stages of the hereafter. We had talked about the good and bad endings. We talked about death itself. And we talked about the first blow in the horn and the second. And we talked about afterwards what also occurs in terms of changes that hit the universe that we are accustomed to and the difficulties that accompany that. Today we continue from that point forward. He says sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the authentic hadith, يحشر الناس يوم القيامة حفاة عراة غرلا بهما. People on the day of judgment are gathered. And that's the event today. We talk about the gathering. They are gathered on the day of judgment. They're not wearing any clothing. They have no shoes on. They're in the natural state within what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them to begin with. And they have nothing. Buhma, they have nothing with them. They brought nothing with them from their previous life. Aisha hears the hadith and she says, Ya Rasulullah, عراة ينظر الرجال والنساء إلى بعضهم. They're clothless, men and women staring at each other. فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم يا عائش الأمر أشد من ذلك. The Prophet said, Aisha, it's way beyond that. It's way beyond that thought. You're in a state where that's not what needs to happen for a man not to think of that? That's what I think we should take a moment and wonder about. For you to be in a state of similar to this and that not mean anything to you at all. That not even cross your mind. Not even something that you would notice for a second, just to say, hey, no one's wearing any clothes. It doesn't matter at all. The matter that you're faced with, the issue that's occurring that day, what you just realized happened, is of a magnitude that fact, that those instincts that would usually kick in very heavily at a moment similar to that any other time, don't kick in at all. They don't matter. And Aisha thinks it's a very valid question. Is there nothing? And she said, no, that's not going to be the issue at all. No one's going to be thinking about that. It's way beyond that. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. قل سبحانه وتعالى يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا. The day when it's blown into the horn and you come in groups. Everyone moving in the same direction. يومئذ يتبعون الداعي لا عوج له وخشعت الأصوات للرحمن فلا تسمع إلا همسا. On that day when the one who calls out for people to be gathered and come, everyone will follow that voice that's calling for them to be gathered. And no one will say anything that day. You can barely hear whispers. He says subhanahu wa ta'ala, يَوْمَ نَحْشُرُ الْمُتَّقِينَ إِلَى الرَّحْمَنِ وَفْدًا وَنَسُوقُ الْمُجْرِمِينَ إِلَى جَهَنَّمَ وِرْدًا. On the day of judgment, the believers, the pious, will be gathered to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a wafd. The word wafd in Arabic means a group of people that are well taken care of. And we still use it today to refer to political groups that are visiting a country and there's a reception and all that. وَنَسُوقُ الْمُجْرِمِينَ. As for the criminals, they'll be pulled in as convicts to Jahannam وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. It says subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَيَوْمَ نَحْشُرُهُمْ جَمِيعًا ثُمَّ نَقُولُ لِلَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا أَيْنَ شُرَكَاؤُكُمُ الَّذِينَ كُنْتُمْ تَزْعُمُونَ ثُمَّ لَمْ تَكُنْ فِتْنَتُهُمْ إِلَّا أَنْ قَالُوا وَاللَّهِ رَبِّنَا مَا كُنَّا مُشْرِكِينَ انظُرْ كَيْفَ كَذَبُوا عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ وَضَلَّ عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَفْتَرُونَ. And we gather them all that day, and we'll say to those who disbelieved or associated with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or had some other way of thought, where are the idols, or where are the associates, or where are the other gods that you've created or that you worship? Show them. That moment when they realize what they're faced with and how far off they were during life and how mistaken the choices that they made, the best thing they can come up with is that they just lie. ثُمَّ لَمْ تَكُنْ فِتْنَتُهُمْ. They'll just say, Wallahi, we never did this. انظر كيف كذبوا على أنفسهم. Look how they lie to themselves. What do you mean? Who are you fooling with this? We come out يوم القيامة, we're not dressed. He says sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فَأَوَّلُ مَنْ يُكْسَى مِنَ الْخَلَائِقِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ خَلِيلُ اللَّهِ إِبْرَاهِيمُ. The first person to be granted something to cover their awrah with is Ibrahim alayhi salam. As he says sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In another hadith where he points out sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that everyone is given a certain garment, fabric, just to cover their awrah, similar to what people wear in Hajj. And in his ru'ya sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which is most scholars see that to be very much attached to this setting or to this moment. He said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, so in Yawm al-Qiyamah, in his ru'ya, he saw people coming with qums. Qums is basically just the upper garment. This is a qamis, when I'm wearing a gallabiya, that's what it's called back then. That's what they used to use the word for it. And he said alayhi salatu wasalam, I saw people wearing these qums, and some of them, the qamis was just like a bow tie. That's as far as it went. That's all they got. And someone else had it maybe a little bit farther down to their mid-chest, and some people had it down to their stomach, and then some people had it down to their knees, and then he says sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَرَأَيْتُ عُمَرَ يَجُرُّ ثَوْبَهُ. And I saw Umar ibn Khattab walking, pulling his, basically dragging this garment that he's wearing. فَسَأَلُوهُ فَمَا أَوَّلْتَهَا يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. So this is all figurative. What exactly do you explain that to be? فَقَالَ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم, or as it was explained, قَالَ الدِّينِ. Whatever degree of faith or belief or religion or practice or good deeds you came with on that day. Based on that, you'll be either fully clothed or وَلِيَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ. Someone may not. He says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, describing the different forms in which people are gathered on that day. He said, يحشر المتكبرون يوم القيامة أمثال الذر يطأهم الناس بأقدامهم. The arrogant يوم القيامة will be gathered, but they'll be gathered in the size of ants. People step on them as they go and as they come. Those who thought they were better than others in life, يوم القيامة will come much lesser than others, to the point where they're not even noticeable. The people who are walking back and forth يوم القيامة are stepping on them without even paying attention. يقول صلى الله عليه وسلم يحشر الناس يوم القيامة مشاة وركبانا وعلى وجوههم. People on the Day of Judgment will be gathered. Some of them will be walking. Some of them will be riding, meaning their status is elevated to the point where they're actually on something. And some of them will be gathered يوم القيامة يحشرون على وجوههم, where everything is flipped and they're moving with their faces down, with their faces closer to the ground than the rest of their body. He says subhanahu wa ta'ala, ونحشرهم يوم القيامة على وجوههم عميا وبكما وصما مأواهم جهنم كلما خبت زدناهم سعيرا. And we gather them on the Day of Judgment upon their faces. They're walking with their faces. عميا وبكما وصما. Some of them can't see, some of them can't hear, some of them can't talk. Jahannam is waiting for them. He says subhanahu wa ta'ala, قال, speaking about people who are going to be gathered in one of these forms. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى قَالَ رَبِّ لِمَ حَشَرْتَنِي أَعْمَى وَقَدْ كُنْتُ بَصِيرًا قَالَ كَذَلِكَ أَتَتْكَ آيَاتُنَا فَنَسِيتَهَا وَكَذَلِكَ الْيَوْمَ تُنْسَى. And when on the Day of Judgment, some people will come, they can't see, they're blind. And they'll ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah, why are we blind? In life, we weren't blind. It seems like everyone's being gathered on this day similar to the state that they lived in. And I wasn't blind in dunya, why am I blind now? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, indeed, just like we gave you our signs, and we taught you our dhikr, and you had the faith, and you forgot about it, well, today you'll be forgotten as well. And an aspect of your existence will just be overlooked. وَكَذَلِكَ الْيَوْمَ تُنْسَى. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obviously does not forget anything. Jalla Jalalullah. And some people يُحْشَرُونَ عَلَى مَنَابِرَ مِن نُّورٍ. And some people will come on the Day of Judgment and they're on pillars or a mimbar, something high, something elevated, a piece of land that's elevated up. People look up and they can see them. They're not alone. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 people together, as he explained, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Those who lived for the sake of Allah, those who loved each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they'll be in a position where some of the prophets will look up and wish they could be like them. These are all the different forms that you'll come in, that we will come in Yawm al-Qiyamah. He said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, قال كيف إذا جمعكم ربكم ليوم كان مقداره 50,000 سنة لا تأكلون أكله ولا تشربون شربه ولا ينظر الله إليكم. كيف بكم, meaning what are you going to do? How are you going to? What is your plan for the day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gathers you for 50,000 years, as the Quran says? في يوم كان مقداره 50,000 سنة. Something will be 50,000 years. On that day you don't eat, you don't drink. Allah is not even looking at you. Up till now, all we know is just what we know. If you're imagining this with me properly, you came out of your grave, you saw people running around. Hopefully you found your family whom you worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with, and you were stable, you had some stability, you stood your ground, you weren't running aimlessly. As the universe started to crumble, you were able to kind of stay calm. And now you're, hopefully, inshallah, you have something covering your aura. You're not standing there exposed, inshallah. Hopefully you're standing there in a position where you're not shrunk into something small because you lived a life where you thought you were better than everyone else. Or you're coming with your face down to the floor because you were someone who walked blindly all their lives, and now you'll be existing blindly for these many years of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Hopefully, inshallah, you're in a reasonable state. Allahumma ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our hashr easy. But what about the time? So far, no one has spoken to you. You haven't been given there's no ultimatum, there's no memo, there's nothing. You're just standing there. No one's explain to you what's coming next. You have a good idea of what's happening, but really, to a certain degree, nothing's official. There's been no official announcement of what's coming next. And this goes on and on and on. He talks, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about 50,000 years. And then he gives another hadith, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that we can find some ease in it. فقال وإن القيامة الحديث وإن القيامة لا تمر على المؤمن كالصلاة المكتوبة يصليها أو في الحديث الآخر كركعتين خفيفتين يصليهما. And the believer will find يوم القيامة, the length of it, it's like a dhuhr that you prayed, or a maghrib or a fajr. Just two quick rak'atain, two quick rak'ah that you prayed, and it's over. Because time is relative. Yawm al-Qiyamah, time is very relative. Everyone will experience Yawm al-Qiyamah quite differently. But the range is between 3 minutes, let's say that, reasonable to rak'ah, not the marathon ones that we do, that takes 90 seconds, 3 minutes, to 50,000 years. This is an insane range. The reason it's called Al-Qiyamah, Yawm Al-Qiyamah, that's the most famous name, that's the name that's used most commonly in the Quran and in our daily dialogue, is Al-Qiyam is to stand. And it's the day that you're standing. You're standing there for a very long time. من طول القيام سمي القيامة. That's because people are standing for so long. It's called Al-Qiyamah. Now here's my thought process on this. So it goes between 2 rak'ah and to 50,000 years, and everything in between. Let's say you did really well. Not amazing, but you did all right. Hopefully your time that your experience of the time will be closer to the 2 rak'ah than it is to the 50,000 years. Well, how close? How close is it going to be? From 3 minutes to 50,000 years, what do you, if I told you it was 80 years, are you closer to what? Are you closer to the 3 minutes or the 50,000? You're closer to 3 minutes. Isn't that a lifetime? Isn't that your full life? Most of us will live to 80. It's pretty impressive. It's good. Had a pretty good life. 80, have not much to really complain about if you made it that far. Imagine standing Yawm al-Qiyamah for the full duration of the time that you lived on earth. To do what? Just to think about the time. Here's the exact same amount of time. Think about what you did. But I could have, you could have, right? See, imagine how different this moment could have been. Imagine that you're given the exact amount of time that you lived to regret the time that you lived, or to wonder how you could have treated the time that you lived differently, or how you could have invested in the time that you were around differently. Imagine that. To the point where people come Yawm al-Qiyamah and they're not even sure. They're not even certain how long they lived. This is a big theme on the Day of Judgment. People don't know. They don't know how long were we there, and they start asking those questions. وَنَحْشُرُ الْمُجْرِمِينَ يَوْمَئِذٍ زُرْقًا. They'll come on that day, they're congested, it's like they're blue. It's not like they're covered with blue. No, whenever you're so uptight, basically, your circulation doesn't work as well, and so you have a bit of a color, it's almost like you're blue. Because people aren't happy that day, that's what they look like. There's like a blue color to them. يَتَخَافَتُونَ بَيْنَهُمْ, and they're speaking, the low tone voice, they're speaking to one another. إِلَّا بِثْتُمْ إِلَّا عَشْرًا. You're only there for like 10 days, right? Wasn't that the whole thing? People on the Day of Judgment are objecting that they didn't have enough time. Why are we being judged now? And we were only, the exam time was too short. We were only there for 10. نَحْنُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا يَقُولُونَ. He says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, we know what they're saying. إِذْ يَقُولُ أَمْثَلُهُمْ طَرِيقَةً إِلَّا بِثْتُمْ إِلَّا يَوْمًا. So the 10 there wasn't even 10 days, it was 10 hours. That was what they were saying. We were there for like 10 hours, right? Isn't that what we were there for? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the one who does the best estimation will say, no, we were there for a day. It was a full day, but that's still not enough. This is what they're arguing about. قَالَ كَمْ لَبِثْتُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ عَدَدَ سِنِينَ. You'll say, how many, someone will ask the human being that day, how many years did you live on earth? How many years? So the answer will be, قَالُوا لَبِثْنَا يَوْمًا أَوْ بَعْضَ يَوْمٍ فَاسْأَلِ الْعَادِينَ. We lived maybe a day, maybe a little bit less than a day. Ask the ones who were keeping track of it. Ask the historians. They can tell you the exact time because we don't know. But that's what they feel. And then the answer comes back. قَالَ إِلَّا بِثْتُمْ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. True, we only here for such a short period of time. لَوْ أَنَّكُمْ كُنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. Only if you knew that back then when you were around. If you just knew that fact when you were there, that yes, indeed, it was a very short period of time. It wasn't a day, obviously, but it was short. You just didn't realize it then, that it was actually that short, not worth wasting, not worth just throwing away into nothingness and then coming Yawm al-Qiyamah and spending the same amount of your life, or maybe 2-3-fold, or maybe 50,000 years of just standing there to wonder how different it could all be. And how you could have done things completely the opposite of what. كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية أو ضحاها. On the day that they come, it seems to them that they're only around for an evening or maybe a morning. I ask you this, at your age right now, how much can you recollect from your life that you've lived just now? If you run it through your head, how long does it take you to run through your life? Do you have a full movie ready to, is it hours and hours of events that occurred and what you did and where you, or is it just a couple of snapshots here and there, just something that seems almost like a haze? This is how you feel about your life now. What do you think? How are you going to feel about Yawm al-Qiyamah? If right now, if you're asked to recollect your life, you can summarize it maybe in a minute or two. Yeah, I was born here, I did this, I went to this school, I had a friend here, I had a job, got married. That's it. That's if you're that far advanced into your life as I am. But if you're not even there, then you probably don't even have that much to say. And if you're young, you're like, yeah, I don't know, I gained consciousness to life yesterday, basically, and now you don't feel it. It's too quick. It goes by way too quickly. And Yawm al-Qiyamah, your recollection of it is so simple. People, they're not lying about it. Like, they're not saying you're only there for a day in the intention of lying and changing reality. No. This is literally what they feel. Just so that's clear. This is really what they comprehend the time that they spent on life to be. وَيَوْمَ يَحْشُرُهُمْ كَأَن لَّمْ يَلْبَثُوا إِلَّا سَاعَةً مِّنَ النَّهَارِ يَتَعَارَفُونَ بَيْنَهُم. When they're gathered, they will feel that the life that they lived was just an hour during a day where they got to know one another. I mean, just an hour where they say, oh, you're Fulan, I'm Fulan, you're Fulan, I'm Fulan. So I just know this person. I spent maybe an hour with them. That's as far as you can remember anything that occurred Yawm al-Qiyamah. So really, the concept that needs to be revisited or reassessed is, if time is so short and time is so fragile, and what coming Yawm al-Qiyamah, just the actual amount of Yawm al-Qiyamah itself can go up to 50,000 years. Can you even comprehend 50,000 years? Do we even know, go back in history 50,000 years, what was happening? We have no idea. It's maybe a couple of Homo sapiens running around, gathering and trying to figure out how to kill a moose or something. It's very simple. We didn't do much 50,000 years ago. All of human history is probably shorter than that, as far as the human being that is cognitively capable of doing things and thinking outside of the small box of their daily necessities and instincts. 50,000 years is what some people will stand Yawm al-Qiyamah. And inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you stand, you do the 2 quick rak'ah, and you're done, and you move on to whatever comes next. I'll end with that. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Jazakumullahu khairan wa barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.